Hey, long time no talk. What's going on, everyone? Dr. Stephen James here to bring you another video. This one was a really long one to make because there are a lot of missions in chapter 2 of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I will be ranking every single one of them in this video. So with that being said, let's get straight into this. By the way, in case you didn't know, certain missions are going to be broken down into several parts. I'm only going to be ranking some of them. I'm only going to be ranking them as one single mission for time's sake. But at number 17, I have money lending and other sins. Yeah, this one obviously had to go down there because the specific one where Arthur has to beat up Preacher Thomas Downs and gets TB, he's literally paying for his sins. That really set Arthur's fate right there, and understandably rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way. So, I mean, yeah, obviously it belongs down here at the bottom spot, which is also a little unfortunate because the first act in Money Lending and Other Sins can actually be pretty fun. Like, I did enjoy chasing down Chick Matthews from the ranch to alongside the train tracks. It can be annoying at times if he's going too fast, but you buy the right horse, it won't be a problem. And also, there's and I also enjoyed beating up the guy who was with Lily Millet for the debt. That was also a lot of fun. Honestly, the only one I didn't enjoy doing is I can't remember that third guy's name. I honestly enjoyed beating him up even less than Mr. Downs. So, I mean, but that's beside the point. I mean, the fact is, like, as fun as these missions can be, I mean, it doesn't make up for the fact that we have to eventually say goodbye to quite possibly the most beloved playable character in all of gaming history. It just doesn't make up for that. Like, every time, like, you're in free mode or in a mission and Arthur coughs, you're like, oh no, Arthur, stop. Like, even before we get to the point in the story where he's diagnosed with TB. Totally sucks. But anyway, that's our, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. So, yeah, let's get straight into number 16. And at number 16, I have decided to put Polite Society Valentine Style. And now, don't get me wrong, I mean, this mission can be fun. I mean, it is the first mission. It's up to you. I mean, I think most people play this mission first in chapter 2 because, I mean, there's camp, you're right there in camp, it's convenient, it's, you know, I don't know, but yeah, so, I mean, the reason why it's so low is because, one, you have to listen to the 3 girls sing on the way to Valentine, which I guess I've gotten used to it, but in the beginning, I wanted to plug my ears. But, well, I guess, now that I think about it, there's not really too much to complain about this mission. Yeah, you get a guy's horse for him, and, well, I mean, it's optional. Like, it's the introduction of free roam encounters. Like, it just, I mean, it's, you know, I forgot to mention that sometimes it feels like we're not really out of the part of the story where we have to have our hands held at some of these missions. Like it's finally an open world game in chapter 2, but certain missions do hold your hand a lot, and this one, again, since it's the first mission that you can do, is no exception. Also, pro tip, when you go to the general store, order a procurator from the catalog. I mean, you're basically it forces you to buy ground coffee just because, and you can't even use it unless you have one. So yeah, just make sure you buy that procurator, like I said. One other thing I don't like about this mission is that you can't kill that annoying Anthony Foreman who's attacking Tilly. Like, I don't know about you, but I pretty much always kill him when finally given the chance in chapter 4. So yeah, there's just, again, you're very constrained. Like, again, it's in canon, it's your first time in town, so I understand not wanting to cause trouble right away, but you should have killed him right then and there, in my opinion. So, and also, apart from that, like, you do get to get in a fist fight with someone who's attacking Karen Jones. That's about the only action you see in this mission. It's just not enough to take it out of 16th place. Still an interesting mission, and it's a good pastime, but there are better ones in chapter 2, I feel like. And also we do receive a robbery tip thanks to Mary Beth about a train, which, spoiler alert, is going to be pretty high in this ranking. So, yeah, there's, and to conclude it, we chase a guy down who recognizes us from Blackwater. You could either kill him or let him live. I don't know about you, but I always kill him. It's, just, why take chances, you know? Like, I know there's an alternate ending in which he doesn't talk, and even if you let him live, but I don't know. Like, at this point where we know nothing, like, for first time, and that's just the way I've always played it. And that's the thing with people who play it over and over. Like, some of us, like me, tend to stick with the same story, like the one we got accustomed to. People like me rarely experiment with other outcomes. So overall, I feel bad for putting it this low, but regardless, it's where it belongs. I feel like it's just not one of the more exciting missions. But anyway, we're on 15. And for number 15, we have Good Honest Snake Oil. I'll be honest, I was surprised to find that this was considered a main story mission. Considering, one, it's not highlighted in yellow, the mission marker, which it typically is, but instead it's white, which would suggest that it's a side mission, but no, it's right there on the list. So, yeah, the reason why it's so low is because, like I said, it should be considered a side mission because of how inconsequential it is. Like, whether you do a bounty mission or not, it doesn't matter. But also because, like, the whole, like, trying to capture him is just, it's more repetitive than it needs to be. Like, why didn't you just pull out your lasso, Arthur? Like, why did you pull out a gun? Like, the whole thing could be avoided. First you save him from tripping and falling off the cliff, and then he just jumps off the freaking cliff anyway. And then, I mean, the chase scene is the best part where you have to chase him down the river, which is still ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, but at least it's more exciting than my number 16 pick. That's the only reason why it's above it ever so slightly. Again, I just think the whole process of capturing him is just dragged along a lot more than it needs to be. Still, pretty interesting. Also, in the beginning, I really enjoyed the Landon Ricketts reference. And I think that's about all I have to say about that. Moving on to number 14. Numbers 14 and 13 I've considered flipping around, but ultimately I decided the number 14 spot should go to Blessed Are the Meek. So, let's see, what can I say? It is the very first time that we get into that the story takes us into Strawberry, and really the only time. It's pretty easy to avoid the town of Strawberry after this mission up until the epilogue, since unless you want to do a bunch of extra stuff, like I think there's only like one bounty hunting mission in the first story mission. I mean, in the main story mission. And then there's all those small random encounters, like with the Reverend or the Mayor. But other than that, yeah, I'm getting off the rails. So yeah, I mean, it can be pretty fun shooting up an entire town. Just 2 men versus 1 army. It is a lot of fun, except you get a $300 bounty on your ass, which, if you've been saving up, is roughly around half of what you have in your pockets. I usually have around a little over $600 by this point. But it's still ridiculous that you have to pay that much because of stupid Micah. Like, it doesn't even, I always wear a bandana whenever I start this mission. It doesn't matter. Apparently they know who I am under the bandana. But, yeah, so, a fun mission, but the $300 bounty is what really throws it back. And plus, the mission focus revolves around saving Micah, who is like probably the most evil character in Red Dead Redemption, on a list that's pretty long and distinguished, you have to admit. There's a lot of crooked characters in this world, but anyway, I should also add that in the original Red Dead, there are things that you can obtain called pardon letters, which I always saved for like the massive bounties like this one. For like the chump change bounties, like $5 to $10, I usually just pay the cash, but at least you had the option. In this game, you don't have that. That's easily one of the top 3 things that the original Red Dead had the original Red Dead Redemption, not Red Dead Revolver, so there's no confusion, that game had, that we all wish that the Red Dead Redemption 2 did have. But, yeah, anyway, fun mission, but in terms of the overall story, and I mean, by the way, like, you can avoid going into town, but I mean, you're still gonna be spending time like around the area, especially since one of the mission, the next time you have to encounter Micah is within West Elizabeth, which, if you haven't paid the bounty, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to have to evade some lawmen or bounty hunters on your way over there, which would require, I mean, and since things like that will lock down the mission, you have to back up a bit and just go right back over, which again is just really dumb. So, pro tip, pay the bounty first. It's not worth dealing with lawmen or bounty hunters on your way there. I mean, if you can. Oh, I almost forgot to say that even though when I played this mission for the footage, I already had completed enough challenges to unlock like 2 new holsters. I guess the holster upgrade. I mean, the dual wield holster upgrade with from Mike as a present for bailing him out is pretty rewarding. I mean, you could finally dual wield weapons. I mean, assuming you couldn't before, which again, like I was progressive enough to actually unlock a couple side holsters already. So, yeah, moving on. Honestly, it's weird to me that this is considered to be such an amazing mission by some people, but at number 13, I have decided to put a Fisher of Men. Well, here's why it's so low. I mean, one, I don't really like Jack. He's just one of the most annoying characters, and I don't want to be mean about it because, like, I mean, Jack... Well, I'm going to save it for my ranking every characters video, but basically, like, the reason why I hardly have any footage for this mission is because even when getting the footage, like, I just couldn't sit through the first cutscene. Like, yeah, I mean, you can get some stuff like some bluegill or just small fish, and it's an interesting introduction to fishing for new players, but that's really it. And the Milton and Ross showing up, honestly, I hate those 2 characters, but they admittedly made the mission a bit more interesting. And the reason why I was considering flipping this one and Blessed Are the Meek is because it's boring, but at least you don't have to worry about the $300 bounty. And one, you can get some fish, and if you skip all the cutscenes, it can be over pretty quickly. But yeah, so anyway, I think that's about all I have to say. Moving on. This is another good reason as to why I'm putting the divided missions as 1, because part 1 of We Loved Once and True is literally just you reading a letter, and I bet some of you didn't even realize you were doing a mission when you first played it. So, yeah, the reason why I put it this high is because, I find the dialogue between Arthur and Jamie very amusing, and plus but the reason why it's so low is, like, every activity in these missions with Mary are totally optional. Like, if you're gonna turn something into a main story mission, don't make it optional. Make us play it, you know? And apparently my apathy for the mission was so big that I didn't even bother obtaining footage of me reading the letter. I mean, admittedly, my video library is kind of a mess right now, so it probably is in there somewhere, but it doesn't really matter to me. So yeah, in some interesting parts, but overall, it's not. I mean, it's kind of pointless. It's just a side thing, just another thing that should be side mission, but isn't. At number 11, I have Who Is Without Sin. Not really much to say about this one either, honestly. I mean, you get to activate your gambling challenges, which is win 5 rounds in poker, which, if you're lucky and you play your cards right, you can complete this challenge in this very mission. But other than that, it's really just Reverend Swanson being a nuisance as always. I mean, it's pretty eventful, and once you leave the poker table, you ask 2 guys where Reverend Swanson went, and they say, yeah, we saw him, smelt him, and avoided him. I still think that's pretty funny. Like, yeah, other than that, it's, and also you get to, get in a fist fight with, a rancher. Reverend Swanson's fault, of course. I mean, he gets himself into trouble like this. Apart from this, and the very last time we see him, I'm not sure we've ever seen him leave camp. It's a little weird to find him here all the way in Flatneck Station. At least Flatneck Station. Anyway, in other news, anyway, to top it all off, we get to save Reverend Swanson from being hit by a train. And then once you do, at the end of the mission, you're required to take him back to the camp where the mission concludes. So when you're playing this game for yourself, make sure you have some main story missions to do at camp before doing this one, because you will find it super convenient. But anyway, moving on. And at number 10, I put The First Shall Be Last. I know, some of you have probably put this a little higher in your top 10, and I understand. Like, there are plenty of other missions remaining that have less action than this, which would normally, for most people, bring it down a tier. But the reason why I have it fairly low, I say fairly low because it's still in my top 10, but the reason why I put it lower than some of the others is because, well, I'm not a big fan of Sean, and the firefight is pretty exciting, but leading up to that point, like the just having to follow the boat around, and also I almost forgot to say, you have to go into southern West Elizabeth, which is under lockdown in the main story because of Pinkertons. So you literally have to risk your life to even get here, and then you're just gonna casually stroll, go for a little ride along the cliff edge. Like, come on, there must be better ways to track, like they couldn't do it from the other side of the river, but yeah, whatever. So, one thing I will say is I do enjoy, again, shooting down the bounty hunters, and when you loot them, they typically have a lot of cash on them, so that's always good. I will say that from here on out, I like every single mission in this game. In fact, I would say that was the case since rank number 11. So, yeah, just throwing that out there. Anyway, thought I would have more to say. Oh, yeah. Also, fighting alongside Javier and Charles, super satisfying. Watching Charles beat up a bunch of bounty hunters while you're fighting down below with Javier in the crevice, also very satisfying. Not to mention, you get a challenge activated in this game. I can't remember which challenge chain it is, but you know. Also, yeah, I think that's it though. Moving on. And at number 9, I have chosen A Strange Kindness. And yes, I realize that this is one of the missions with less action than the one I've chosen for number 10, but I don't know. I just I like how it opens up a new chapter, and also Clemens Point is perhaps my favorite camp in the game. I don't know if it is anymore, but it certainly was for a while. I just like the camps with a freshwater supply, and plus I also like the that we meet the German family. One thing, there's really just one thing I don't like about this mission, and it's, I mean, granted, I'm usually playing with high honor, making good decisions, but just Arthur being, you know, really rude to the family. I mean, I realize that they don't really speak much English, so there's hardly any good communication there, but I don't care. You know, I mean, looking beyond that, it's a really fun mission, and plus, Charles is one of my favorite characters. It's always a treat getting to ride with him, and plus it's oh, and as a special bonus at the end, after you deliver the man to his family, he gives you a gold, it's not a full-on gold bar, it's like I can't remember what it was. It's is it a gold ingredient or chunk? No, it's not a chunk. Whatever it is, it has a value of $300, so he does reward you. And not only that, but he saved, they are residing in, we later find out in chapter 6 that they're residing in Van Horn, and they save his life in return, Arthur's. So yeah, it's a really exciting mission, and of course the dialogue is between Charles and Arthur is always a treat to listen to. So yeah, anyway, moving on. And at number 8, I really thought this one was going to be higher for some reason, but at number 8 I have Americans at Rest. And the reason why I thought it was higher is because it's one of the most, I feel like it's one of the most iconic missions in Red Dead Redemption. I mean, there are actually a lot that are more iconic, and it is fun, but it doesn't really add anything. I mean, what we have is just Bill, Javier, Charles, and Arthur just hanging out at the saloon, and there's really nothing going on. They just not really sure. I mean, I don't think there was any business going on when we walked in. They just appear to be chatting up a couple girls, and for no apparent reason, suddenly Bill walks in, and he just starts a bar fight, and it leads Arthur to get into a fist fight with a big fella, thus causing him permanent brain damage. preacher steps in and stops him from beating up the guy. And and then onto the important stuff. Finally, Trelawney, we meet him for the first time. So this mission just appears to be a setup for meeting Trelawney and getting Sean back, which is good and all, but what's up with all this unnecessary extra stuff? I want to put it higher, I do. It just, if you think about it, there's this mission doesn't really add anything. I mean, the only significant thing that happens is that only at the very end do we learn of Sean, whom, by the way, we have not yet met because the developers of the game deleted the prologue. We discovered where Sean is, and if anything else, we learn that Arthur, despite him being a good-looking guy, has no idea how to talk to women, and Bill just likes to start fights for no reason. Like, duh. I mean, there's plenty of evidence to support that already. So, I believe this mission was added just for us to have a good time, and for no reason. It's just an unnecessary setup for finding out where Sean is, and Dutch finally coming in to tell us, like, what the heck took him so long. I mean, it just feels like they could have they could have done addition by subtraction here. Still a great game, and honestly, if it was just a simple boring meeting, sharing Sean's whereabouts, I doubt it would be very high on the list. So I guess in the end it worked, even though, again, it just felt unnecessary, and for that reason, I just can't put it any higher. I'm sorry, but, you know, it is what it is. Moving on. And at number 7, I have chosen paying a social call. Yes, this is the one where Kieran finally gets out of his shackles. Hot take, I honestly don't enjoy this mission as much as you think. I mean, it's fun and all, but, I mean, leading up to the fight, I don't know, it just feels kind of boring. Although, I will say, some parts of the dialogue, like John talking to Kieran, like, you look like an O'Driscoll, you talk like an O'Driscoll, you smell like, god damn, you smell like one too. And Kieran says, I smell like horse shit. And and John says, yeah, exactly, you do. Yeah, that was like the best part of the ride there, but, you know, beyond that, it was kind of boring. And plus, I feel like this is the first time we see Charles out of bed, so it's not just Kieran losing his shackles, it's, you know, John finally doing something for the campaign, and I have to say I enjoy it. And plus the payout at the end is very rewarding. You get money in the chimney, plus those loose billfolds all lying around the inside the cabin, and plus you get to have throwing knives unlock, a handy way to kill NPCs silently without needing a bow and arrow. Because, like, one of the problems shooting people up quietly in this era, you can't do it. I mean, suppressors were not invented yet, so yeah, having an alternative way of killing quietly, pretty neat. And plus, Kieran does save his life, which everyone brings up like all the time, leading up until after his death, which I have to say gets pretty annoying after a while. And oh, I knew I was forgetting something. You also get a free double barrel shotgun. Honestly, shotguns are not really my cup of tea. Especially not the double barrel ones, but still pretty neat, you know, it's a good feature. So, yeah, fun game, very memorable. Oh, and I almost forgot that I didn't record it for some reason, but that part where Pearson puts Gatling tongs or whatever they're called to Kieran's balls. Pretty funny, I have to admit. That was I feel very guilty about it, but I don't care. That was very funny and well worth watching. So what else? Oh yeah. There's also a chance encounter where Bill tries to do it again. Pearson needs more meat for the fire. You know, little fun fact. The reason why Pearson is so mean to Kieran is because he's got a little gay crush on him. No cap. I'm going to get more into Bill's. I'm going to get more into that during my character ranking video, but I just it kind of does make sense now, you have to admit. But anyway, moving on to the next video. And at number 6, granted, I was going to put this at like number 5, but looking at it objectively, even though for this mission we are going in with someone we adore, as opposed to my number 5 pick where we are going as someone who we going with someone whom we love to hate. I have to say, like, for putting that at number 6 and that other one at number 5 is I feel like is the right choice, because like it's just so, this one is just, I hate to say it, but is less rewarding. I mean, it's a great, you know, mission still. It's I swear, like, playing this for the first time, like every time we do this, it's just as funny and iconic as we all like remember. It's just you know, a chaotic time getting drunk with Lenny, and you know, just suddenly everywhere is just Lenny. And honestly, I feel like talking about it, I am quickly losing IQ points. So anyway, the reason why I put this at number 6 and not number 5 is because, well, just where you end up at the end. Like, you just end up near Limpany, which is the abandoned town burned up by Cornwall. That's another story, though. And Lenny is in jail, which, I mean, if you know anything about ethnic people in the 1800s, you know that African Americans don't really last too long. I think, I mean, but of course you have to escape the law in order to reach 100% completion. which ever since I found out you could, I have had no problem dealing with it. I just think it would be better if, better for both characters, well, especially Lenny, if both John and Arthur wound up in jail together. I think it would have been pretty cool if Lenny could somehow escape, but instead you're just, I mean, he's still in jail and you're essentially just in the middle of nowhere with absolutely no stamina. As it just so happens, if you're like grinding for progression in the 100% completion, there are some things you can do. Like there's a gold bar in the sheriff's office of Limpany. There is a rock carving that you can inspect and a bunch of herbs. And if you haven't already, you can also meet the guy who is offering to buy full packs of cigarette cards for a high price. So, I mean, it's just really tough to describe this mission. It's just, I mean, with the music score playing in the background, it just makes it. You know what? I'm done talking about this. Let's just move on to number 5. And at number 5, I have chosen an American pastoral scene. Yes, I realize we're going from someone we loved and leaving him in jail to someone we just broke out of jail whom we hate. But just hear me out before you go leaving a dislike as to why I chose to put this mission over the other. It's just way more rewarding, that's why. Like, you're actually making money. You get to shoot up a bunch of O'Driscolls. Oh, and you get a free Lancaster repeater, which is really neat, which is really cool. I mean, there's hardly any ammo in it, but it's still good. And also the quotes in this mission: "Big shadow, tiny tree." That's actually a pretty good line if you know what it means. It means we're all talk, basically. I mean, he does explain what it means in the opening cutscene, but Arthur still says he doesn't understand. Figures. So yeah. So just with how rewarding it is and like how thrilling it is, get to shoot up a bunch of O'Driscolls. Oh, and you get hundreds of dollars. So I mean, he pretty much, I would say, makes up for the $300 bounty he puts on us. You know, like, that's the thing with Micah. He's like debatably if not one of the worst characters in the game, yet he just, oh man, he like pretty much always pays up. Love him or hate him, like, he puts you through crap, but he usually finds a way to pay back. But I mean, I don't mean to hype him up as like someone who always pays it forward, because it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But just again, whether you agree or disagree, you have to admit this mission does have more redeeming value than most of the missions I've mentioned, not just A Quiet Time. So yeah, on to I think I've said all there is to say about this. So moving on to number 4.
Big shadow, tiny tree, and like I said, that still don't mean nothing.
And anyway, at number 4, I have chosen the sheep and the goats. Now, first off, The first part of this mission, honestly, the worst. Like, if this mission was broken down to uh, into two separate videos, two separate missions, this half would easily be at the lower half, on the way back behind Money Lending and Other Sins, because like I hate the farm simulator missions like herding, and it's just not a pastime that I really enjoy. And so, plus it's still a good mission, but we haven't even talked about the goods, the part that's actually good. See, once after you've herded sheep for an auction, you can you meet up with Strauss and Dutch in the other saloon in Valentine, and John and Strauss step out to make sure the coast is clear, while Arthur and Dutch have a drink, and guess what? The coast is clear. We are then introduced to the one and only Leviticus Cornwall, whom they have been robbing at least once, or, well, yeah, just once. I was gonna say that that wagon, but that wasn't Leviticus Cornwall. But yeah, so we're just shooting up the shop. Shooting up the joint, fighting with local law and the Pinkertons. And this is the first time that we ever see Strauss in the front lines. Not that he really did anything, but it's easily like the most fun mission, and plus it really signifies a new chapter. Like, you can tell that we're about to get ready for a new chapter in this one. And I gotta say, I really do enjoy it. Because, one thing I want to say about Horseshoe Overlook, it is a really stretched out chapter. Just look at all the missions that I've had to talk about in this video. And we haven't even gone over the side missions. So, yeah. What else can I say about this? One thing I wanted to add about the first half of this mission, on the way to the sniping position, Arthur and John just won't quit bickering. Like, they both sound like Arthur sounds like a total hypocrite. Well, actually, never mind. They both sound like hypocrites. And that's part of the reason why I didn't really enjoy it as much as I would like to say I do, but it's in the number 4 spot, so I must have enjoyed it enough. Well, because of the second half of the mission, like I said. But, yeah, anyway, I'm trying to keep this video under 1 hour long, so let's move on to the top 2. Number 3, I have chosen Pouring Forth Oil. Now, this is like one of the first like legit heist feels. Like, there are surprisingly not really that many missions in which you actually feel like a criminal. Like yeah, these few missions, and with these few missions, like everything around the gameplay is just doing stuff like collecting herds. But yeah, anyway, a few reasons this is in my top 3 is, for one thing, you can get the third Deadeye experience, which I'm of course really grateful for, because like you can actually be precise with your shots. And plus, like, I don't know if you've heard this, but when the train approaches the oil thing, is frame by frame, it is identical to the train heist scene from the old-time movie, The Assassination of Jesse James. And I love it when video games reference movies in their craft. It just makes it even better. I just wish for this heist, for this run, I remembered to put on a trench coat so that it would look even more uncanny. The resemblance between the two sequences. I was going to put a clip in this video of the Assassination of Jesse James movie to get a better idea of what I'm talking about, but this video is overdue and I just can't be bothered, honestly. So yeah, of course the payout is really good, as it's a train full of rich folks. Now, on to why this is only my number 3 pick instead of being in the top 2. It's mostly Sean's fault. Like, on the way to the train tracks, man, he would not shut up, like chewing everyone's ears off and irritating not only the characters but the player as well. And plus, since we're talking about like all parts, like I've just gone over the final act, like the 4th act. I haven't even gone over the first 3. Like 1 and 3 are essentially just dialogue. Like that's it. I mean, first letters and dialogues, they might as well just smush them together. But also because the 2nd act involves stealing an oil rig, and if you're lucky, you can get one to spawn into Valentine, but if you're not, which unfortunately in my case I wasn't, then you're going to have to infiltrate Cornwall and Tar, which is always heavily guarded. Fortunately, I mean, I failed the first time. I tried to sneak in stealthily. I killed one guard, like out in the open, that was in a corner using throwing knives, and it went to full alert, and I died. Fortunately, when I respawned, one was leaving the tar wagon. Whether that was always going to happen and I was just impatient, or I just got lucky that time, it's just ridiculous. Like, and of course, the fact that that mission is skippable, like if you take too long to do it, it'll just activate the third, an alternate cutscene in Act 3, pouring forth oil 3. It's going to activate an alternate ending, and you don't have to do it, but it really does make you feel like a lazy piece of shit when you don't. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I just feel like it's definitely a top 3 material, but definitely not top 2 with the 3 setups laid out like that and the fact that Sean exists. But anyway, moving on to my top 2 pick, which I have tossed and turned as to which one I like more than the other, and they're both still neck and neck, but I feel like I've made the right choice with my picks here. Number 2, The Spines of America. Now, where to begin? Well, first we are introduced to Seamus, whom is pretty much the only fence owner that we know by name, for one thing. And two, if you, I mean, one thing I'm not a fan of is that you have the option to either let Hosea put on a show while Arthur collects everything he can both in the house and and then go into the barn, or the smarter alternative would be to go in at night and steal and just go in when everyone's sleeping, and while Hosea goes into the barn and steals the wagon. Now, for whatever reason, they have, I mean, typically the pink, if you have to press the pink square to select one, that one is typically the right choice, like the one that the developers want you to choose. And the red circle option is typically negative, as in like low honor, but that's just silly. I know that Hosea has a flair for showmanship, and I respect that and all, but it's just not very smart. Like, not only that, but if you infiltrate at night, it just feels more natural. Like, late night burglary when everyone's sleeping is one of the oldest types of theft in the book, and I don't think I've ever seen it incorporated into anything Rockstar has done. I mean, I'm sure there's a game out there where they did, but just not that I know of. So I think it's a really cool thing that you can actually do that. And plus of course, you know I'm about that money, in case it wasn't clear. So yes, you know I'm gonna say that the payout is really good. Plus, not only that, when you after you do that, you have a special feature activated where you can bring where you can bring wagons to Seamus and he will buy them off you. And not only that, but unlike in GTA 5, you know how in GTA Online you can sell random cars like at fitter shops for like thousands of dollars? Well, unlike, and only problem with that is that there was a recharge time limit. Like you can't you can only bring him like one car at a time. That's not the case here. There's no recharge. You can bring as many wagons as you want, as frequently as you want, which again is a really cool feature that the devs added to enhance the value of the gameplay. And plus, at the end of it, this is just another option, but you sometimes, in this case, the gang member you're accompanying will ask if you want to ride with them back to camp. In which case, in this case, I always accept. So I get that cinematic masterpiece of Hosea and I riding in the night sky together, back to camp and back to our loved ones. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. Well, I can now see I failed to get this video under 1 hour long, but on the bright side, we're down to the last one, and the last one I have chosen is Exit Pursued by a Bruised Ego. Is that how you say it? Yeah. So, first of all, spoiler alert, Hosea is like one of my top 3 characters. And so riding with him is like always a treat. And also, you can finally open up the stables are finally accessible to you. I personally think they should have always been accessible. Like, you shouldn't have to wait for the mission to start before. You shouldn't have to wait till a certain mission to activate certain things, and I do believe that's one of them. You can finally give the horse you currently own the care he actually needs. Since you don't have a brush and horses are easily getting dirty in this game, it is a much needed accessory, or it is much needed to have access to that. So you can buy a brush, and you can not only that, but you can not only buy a horse within your price range, you can also customize your horse and choose your own name and everything. It's so immersive. Make it so easy to get attached to horses in this game. It's crazy. And it totally worked. And not only that, like after you get your horse, you can also you are also about to go hunting for the legendary grizzly bear, and Hosea gives you a map to a bunch of other legendary animals, which the more you do it, the more fun it actually is to hunt every legendary animal. And plus you can sell them for big bucks at the trapper. Like especially if you can carry the carcass too, you can make extra money. A little trick for you newbies. Given the option, I will always carry the carcass too to make extra money. So you can make money off both the pelt and the carcass, which typically goes for, I believe, no less than $10, which goes a long way in this in the era that this game takes place. So yeah, it's like I said, it's really cool. Yeah, by the way, one thing I don't like is, once again, I feel like you choose the wrong thing. Like, when you're hunting for the bear, you have the choice to either split up or just place the bait where you're standing. And I always place the bait where I'm standing, even though it's the red circle option. I mean, this is coming from someone who's never gone hunting IRL. I feel like splitting up is a terrible idea. And in the game, there's even a couple existing examples as to why that is a bad idea. The examples I'm talking about, of course, are Winton Holmes hunting for a cougar in a cave, and Hamish Sinclair when hunting for a boar. So yeah, that's 2 examples right there as to show why it's a bad idea. Nevertheless, it's kind of hard to believe that this is the number 1 pick, a hunting mission, but it's true. It actually, going through the list of missions analytically, I realized that most of them are interesting, but not all that exciting compared to some of the future missions and future chapters. But regardless, that's I think that's where I'm actually gonna call it. So, like, I know I've had a lot of hot takes in this video, and it's okay to have different opinions. I know that I know that not everyone is going to agree, but I think it's I think it's good to have different opinions every now and then, otherwise it'd be too boring. So yeah, at the very least, I hope you found this video entertaining. Fair warning, I'm going to be on yet another hiatus because I wasn't able to do everything that I wanted to do. So, I mean, I said in my last upload that I had a day job that I'd be doing for a few days. Only problem is I didn't actually do it because my boss had to go to a funeral, and it was for a relative who lives in Texas. So yeah, that couldn't happen this week, but definitely next week. And not only that, but I'm not sure what my next upload is gonna be. I have a few series to continue, like the one where I rank every season of Bunked. Although the reason why I'm waiting to go over season 5 characters is because I actually had a pretty cool idea that I need money to pursue. And of course there's all these chapters, Red Dead Redemption 2. However, after making this really long video, I gotta say, I think I'm burned out with ranking Red Dead Redemption chapters until for a while. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe so that I know that all my hard work is worth it. You can probably tell I've been losing my voice throughout making this video, so make the pain worth it. And as always, Dr. Stephen James saying peace. Later, guys.